Developed and published originally for the Sony PlayStation 2 in 2006 was Final Fantasy XII, as the story was set within the fictional world of Ivalice, known for being depicted within multiple Final Fantasy games. The story and cast of characters were known at the time for continuing the tradition of Square for being very well written in terms of quality and portrayed with interwoven stories and complex relationships between characters. However, first mentioned within the game were the Occuria. As depicted within the plot of Final Fantasy XII, the Occuria were the most powerful beings in the world of Ivalice, and they were referred to by themselves and other races within the game as the Undying. But these hushed rumors were often considered nothing more than legends or myths, and the general populace of Ivalice doesn't know the existence of the Occuria. Through their dialogue with the characters towards the end of the game, in a simple encounter, they proclaimed themselves to have influenced Ivalice throughout the eons, and nothing was done without their consent or observation. However, they abruptly left the lands of Ivalice and imposed self-exile among themselves, as their feats of influence and power were later relegated from fact to fiction. Online sources mention that the Occuria as depicted in Final Fantasy XII didn't affect the plot of the game at all, and could have been easily removed from the game and have no real impact on the course of events as depicted within the story, nor be of major or minor importance to the characters in the game. Despite the simple mention in 12, there were no further references to the mysterious Occuria or their intentions for Ivalice at the time. In 2007, released for the Nintendo DS was Final Fantasy XII Revolt Wings, which was considered a standalone sequel to Final Fantasy XII, as the story was considered secondary to 12's and had no real influence or correlation in terms of characters or game plot. During the game, the Occuria were only briefly mentioned in dialogue from Balthea. According to online sources, the Occuria were originally designed to be that of a race similar to that of the Mind Flayers, which were depicted in many Final Fantasy games, but eventually changed through the game's conception and implementation to be that of all-powerful godlike beings who exerted their agenda through various means. There is on speculation how that with all of the diversity within the world of Ivalice, in terms of lore and characters, there were essentially no real needs or desires for the Occuria as an overseeing race among all others within Ivalice, as the concept would theoretically detract from the already rich and vibrant world that Ivalice was. Even if the Occuria were to be used within future Final Fantasy media pertaining to Ivalice, gamers would naturally wonder why. Sometimes a character can be forgotten because the original idea wasn't better than what had already existed for gamers to learn about, or to know about in terms of video game lore.